Hey guys, I've got a little treat for you today. Frodo, the treat was for them, not for you. Always a hungry dog. Anyway, I'm gonna give you 7 of my personal favorite 80s heavy metal riffs. But hang around after that, because we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into the songs and the bands and of course the year they came out, all that good stuff. So that'll be a good chat. A few things you might notice is, one, I probably did not, actually I know I did not play every single riff note for note just like it's played on the song, on the album. And that's because I literally just learned these little riffs this morning. I've always loved hearing them, and I'm like, you know, I want to do a video about this, so let me just sit down and learn the riffs the best I can and just put something out there. And of course I add my own little flavor to it as well, which I always encourage you guys to do whenever you go through my lessons. You know that. I always encourage you to learn what I'm teaching you, but then start adding your little flavor to it and kind of make it your own. And that's kind of what I did here, so don't bash me too much, guys. A couple more things I want to mention here is that, you know, I'm covering 80s heavy metal, so I wasn't really going for the Metallica and Megadeths and those type of bands, more to thrash metal, and I kind of wanted to stay away from the hair metal of that era as well. Nothing against those, because I love all this stuff. I know a lot of you guys do too, but I figured, hey, let's kind of dial this into that kind of classic heavy metal style, if that makes sense. Also, a lot of these songs were down-tuned. A lot of bands down-tuned to E flat back in those days, and probably still do today. I'm in standard tuning for this. So the first riff I played was Kiss of Death by Dokken, and this was from their Back for the Attack album released in 1987. So let's hear that riff one more time. Now, I've always loved George Lynch's style. I just thought he just had this amazing and really unique sense of rhythm when he was playing his riffs. And specifically this song, man, it's just wicked. It's just got that really cool groove to it and got that edge. And again, it's just a wicked sounding riff. So I thought I would put that as number 1. Next, we've got Big City Nights by Scorpions. And this is off their Love at First Sting album, and that was released in 1984. Let's hear it again. My first Scorpions album was actually the Best of the Rockers and Ballads, so it really wasn't an actual album, it was a compilation. And I'll never forget getting that album. I'm like, oh my God, just every song on that album, I just loved it. And of course, this song was on there as well. And the funny thing is, Big City Nights wasn't my favorite song from the Scorpions. It's not my favorite song from Scorpions, but as I listened to it more when I was thinking about riffs, this riff kept going through my head, and I'm like, this is cool. I'm adding it to this video because it was just really fun to play. I mean, it's kind of simple, but just a really cool, solid riff. Next is I Don't Believe in Love by Queensryche. And this is off of one of my all-time favorite albums like ever, Operation Mindcrime, released in 1988. This has a really cool groove to it. I will say there's some stretchy chords towards the end there that I did not play, and I physically just can't stretch my fingers. There's that one chord when you're playing that B flat, that very last time around. He does some kind of stretch, so I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll let the bass pick up those low end notes there. So again, I learned it the best I could, but I love this song, even though the song says I don't believe in love. I love this song, so I guess I believe in love. But no, it's just a really cool song, and man, that whole album, like I almost did Eyes of a Stranger, because that's, you know, I Don't Believe in Love and Eyes of a Stranger, those are like my two favorites off of that album. So anyway, I Don't Believe in Love, that made it on this video. Killer song. Next is Love Song by Tesla, and this is from their The Great Radio Controversy, released in 1989. Let's hear that one more time. So of course this song and Tesla as a band, you might not even classify this as heavy metal, it's more in the hard rock style. But of course if you Google them, if you Google Tesla, right, you will see that they've been called hard rock heavy metal. So it's funny because back in that era, you kind of had hard rock and heavy metal, they all kind of like fit into this big genre, whereas nowadays you've got all these micro genres or subgenres or whatever, and sometimes if you call something the wrong genre, you just get slammed for it, which again, back in those days, it was a little bit different. There's a little bit more freedom, I guess you could say. But anyway, I threw it in here because this is just a really cool riff. I actually play this, an acoustic version of this song when I play my acoustic gigs, when I play out. There's just something about this riff that I've always liked, and it's just cool. So hey, put it in the video here. Next up is Somebody Save Me by Cinderella. This is off their Night Songs album, released in 1986. Let's hear it again. Now I said I was staying away from hair bands, but I don't know, something about Cinderella's music, it didn't sound like the other hair bands in my opinion, right? It was just a little bit different, just a little bit more unique, I guess. And that's not good or bad, it was just different. I never felt like their music fell into that genre. The same with Dokken. I know we covered that earlier. I didn't, you know, even though they did the makeup thing and tight pants and all that stuff, their music didn't ever like sound or feel like hair metal or hair band music. That's just my opinion. I could be a little off base there, but anyway, I like the song a lot, and the riff is just a killer riff. Next up is Poison, not the band Poison, because then we would really be going to the hair bands, but Poison, the song by Alice Cooper. And this is from his album Trash, released in 1989. Let's hear it again. I'll never forget the first time I heard the song, and it was actually seeing the video on MTV on Headbangers Ball. And I'm pretty sure I saw it, you know, the year it came out in 1989, and I was just blown away by it. It was just such a cool song, and I never really listened to Alice Cooper much before that, you know, for some reason. But when I heard this song, it was like, wow, this is a cool song. Yeah, it's going on this video. I remember learning that little riff there. I thought it was so cool, and more so, even cooler than the riff, I think, are the chord progressions within the song. are the one progression that just changes during the chorus. I mean, you're playing this 4-chord progression, but it changes like 4 times, 3 or 4 times or something like that. So it's just really well written, and with that little riff being played over that, it just sounds really cool. Of course, the riff I played was really just the intro part of that. I didn't add a second guitar for rhythm and all that. So anyway, moving on to the final song, Fire in the Sky, Ozzy Osbourne. This is from his album No Rest for the Wicked, released in 1988. Let's hear it again. Okay, so I probably butchered that riff, so again, don't bash me too much. I just learned it this morning and decided to film this video. But I heard this song for the first time, not way back when. I heard it for the first time probably within the past year or so, maybe a little more than that. And I don't know, I'm like, how did I miss this song? You know, this is kind of, I guess you call this the B-side of the record or whatever, but it's just a cool tune. It's got this really dark undertone, you know, kind of that really dark, of course, it's Ozzy Osbourne, but, you know, some of Ozzy's songs sound kind of like happy. Like if you listen to Crazy Train, it sounds dark starting out, but then it's like a happy song after that. You're like, huh? But anyway, this particular tune is dark, it stays dark, and it's just a killer tune. And I love that riff. All right, so that's my heavy metal riffs, my 7 heavy metal riffs from the 80s. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Feel free to drop me your favorite heavy metal riffs or favorite heavy metal songs from the 80s in the comments below. I'd love to see what those are. You know, sometimes even those of you who grew up in that era like myself, you know, you remember all these bands and remember these albums and such, but you may have not listened to every single song. And like if you list some songs maybe that weren't so popular, that'll give everybody something else to listen to. It's like, okay, I know this band, I know this album, but I don't remember that song. So I tried to kind of find some of those songs that weren't like in your face popular, like played on the radio all the time when I was going through this list here. Although some of them had radio play, of course, but they weren't like chart toppers, if that makes sense. I was trying to find those B-side of the album style songs and riffs. And real quick, don't forget to check out the links in the description of this videos. There are ways you can support my channel there. And also, you guys know I give away a free guitar practice guide, a metal guitar practice guide. So definitely grab that if you haven't yet. The link is in the description of this video. Guys, thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. A little entertainment today. Until next time, you know what to do. Keep it metal.